I experience different levels of gender dysphoria, and I'm sure a lot of people with GD experience ups and downs. Sometimes it could be really strong, maybe severe, and then other times it can dip. Some people probably have it where it stays severe or strong, and some people probably have it where it stays mild or low. I've had periods of time where it can stay strong for a while, and then times where it dips some and then goes back up. And the last couple of weeks, it's been, I'd say about 2 weeks where it's been lower. The dysphoria has been lower. So how does that affect me? It can be confusing, and that's the beast of having gender dysphoria, is that if you have it, especially in a way that fluctuates, it sucks to have either way. I would say I've often said I would not wish it on anyone. It's not something to glorify or say, oh, I wish I had gender dysphoria. It's hard no matter what if you deal with it. But when it fluctuates on me like this and it dips down, it'll confuse me, because I'll think to myself, well, can I live as a male? Can I find a way to integrate my feminine parts and still be comfortable going out as a male? Like sometimes I'll think about, okay, I have my long hair. I don't want to get rid of that for sure. Can I toy around with a facial shadow, or can I toy around with some facial hair and with the long hair, and can I live with that? Can I integrate that in maybe where I don't feel like I have to shave every day? But then I don't know, because even though I'm having this milder dysphoria, I went to the grocery store today, and what did I do? I still shaved before I went out. So I still did not feel comfortable having any kind of facial shadow. So I went ahead and shaved, and I went to the grocery store, and I thought about that. I came back, and then I had a period where for maybe 30-40 minutes dysphoria went up, and I felt very feminine, very, very feminine again. And I have this thing where I'll pose in the mirror. It sounds narcissistic, but it's just I want to look at myself and see how feminine I look. Like I'll have no clothes on, and I have a mirror, like not trying to be just dirty, but I have a mirror at the head of my bed, and I'll get up on there and I'll see how feminine I'm looking, or soft. And I look a lot softer, and I get excited about that. And then again, it gets me on that thing where I'm thinking about hormones and such. But overall, once that 30 or 40 minutes passed, I'm kind of still in that lower dysphoria a bit. And I'm thinking, okay, what do I do? Now, here's one thing. I can't, even if I wanted to get on hormones right now, I can't, because it's not available, because with the current presidency, the way things are going on in the government, they're making it hard on places like where I go. So like where I go, they can only still treat the existing trans patients that are on hormones. They can't take on any new ones. So as an adult, I'm not allowed to have that unless I want to go to, as things stand right now, if I want to go to private healthcare, which would cost a lot of money to be able to keep a supply of hormones. So yeah, I think it's wrong. I think adults should be able to make that choice. And if you're diagnosed with gender dysphoria and you've been going to therapy and all of that, you should be able to get it through a place that provides it. I'm not one that thinks it should just be handed out like candy, because I think hormones, they do things to your body. They change things and alter you. So do I think they should just be handed out to everybody who just wants them without diagnosing them, it's probably not a good idea. But if you've been going to therapy, you've been diagnosed for gender dysphoria, you're making an adult decision that that's what you want, and your therapist or psychologist and the doctor agrees, and you go through the blood work, you're an adult. You should be able to do that. But what's happening, like at my place and what they're doing to other places, is threatening their federal funding. Some of this stuff you don't hear about in the news. So because of that, I couldn't do it right now anyway. But even if I could, I kind of thought if I will say, when my psychologist told me it wasn't currently available, but it's being fought in the courts, I did about cry, which told me I've been thinking about it harder than I thought, that maybe I do want it more than I think I want it. But then I have these dips in the dysphoria, and I'm like, oh, can I live? I know I can't go back to being a fake masculine or hyper masculine, but sometimes I'm like, okay, can I integrate to where I can integrate my femininity to where I can function, where I can live as a male, and maybe I can be okay with, of course, having my long hair. Maybe I can integrate wearing some makeup out, or something just light like what I have on now. Or maybe I can still shave my legs. I can still, because I feel good when I shave them. That's one thing that does up my dysphoria, when the hair grows out too much. I can still give myself petties. I do that if I want to. I mean, I can still do these things, still be a male. I think about all the ways to go about it. And the thing is, in my daily life, okay, you guys see me get on here. You see me wear makeup, and I have it on light, which might be better. I didn't put it on heavy, but as my psychologist tells me, it's like a second puberty. I'm discovering myself, going through these different things, trying out stuff. So when you guys, I've mentioned this before, but when you guys see me get on here and I'm doing these things, I'm trying different looks, or I'm trying whatever. And I know sometimes it looks atrocious. It has. I think sometimes it looks good, and sometimes it's looked atrocious, but I leave it up. I do it anyway because it's self-discovery, and I'm letting anyone who wants to watch share in that, because I know there's so many people that go through this sort of thing. And it's hard to get on here and do it, but for me it's easier to get on here and do it than go out in public and I don't want to go out in public and maybe put on too much makeup or do too much of something and look atrocious and no, I don't pass. And we know how society is. I don't want to get bullied. I don't want to get harassed. I live in a red state at that. So I'm trying to minimize my societal anxiety as well as to what I deal with this dysphoria, depression, and such. It's like a roller coaster, guys. It really can. That's why I say I don't wish it on anybody. It's like a effing roller coaster that up and down, doesn't stop, round and round, upside down. I mean, it can be really effed up. And I just go day to day, and this is why I work in the adult store. I've talked about it before, because there I can be as close to myself. I don't know if I'm even being 100% there. I know I am. Well, I'll say this. I think I am sometimes. I don't know if I am all of the time being, because when I have the low dysphoria, my dysphoria dips down, I feel a little bit more masculinity come up, and it throws me off. I don't become a fake masculine or hyper masculine like I was, but it's just trying to find a balance when that happens. But when I'm in, what I notice is when I'm in my flow state, when I'm really flowing there, I'm definitely more feminine, and I'm confident, and I can approach anybody and I can help anybody, man, woman, talk about whatever they want, help them with whatever they want, joke with them, laugh with them. I still spray on perfume, even with the low dysphoria. I do that. I like wearing it at work. It's like I'm in my own bubble where I don't have to feel that social anxiety at that job. And that was the whole purpose of why I went after that job, because it was, excuse me, the only thing I could function with, really, with what I'm going through. Even though I could stand to make more money, but at the same time, I have to be able to function and be able to integrate myself into society and be able to deal with my social anxiety with all of this that I'm dealing with. And there, I feel like I'm in a zone. I'm in this bubble protective zone where I know I can just be me. I don't feel threatened by anybody. Even the real manly men that come in that seem a little thrown off by me, I don't feel threatened by them. I don't feel like they're out to get me or anything. There was one particular man, actually, I'm not attracted to men that often. I'm more attracted to women, even though I feel more feminine much of the time. There was this man that came in and I was fumbling all over myself. He was big and muscular, and he came in with a really pretty girlfriend, or maybe they were married, and she was attractive. I would have been attracted to her, but she had kind of a snotty attitude, nose stuck in the air, and he wouldn't look me in the eye at first, so I didn't know how this was going to go. And I asked him if I could help him with anything, and he wanted a lint roller. He had stuff on his shirt, and I didn't have them for sale, but I thought I had one somewhere, because we come to find out we only have one. And I found it and I took it to him, and then he totally lightened up. It's like I kept being like, nice to him, and gave that to him, and he looked me in the eyes then. His voice lightened. He's a really masculine guy. He had these huge arms and everything, and he was probably thrown off by me, because I'm sure he could smell that perfume, one of those perfumes I spray on. And the girl, she just looked at me kind of, I don't know what she exactly thought. It's not fair for me to say, but she might not have just liked me at all. I don't know. But anyway, he was nice. He did mostly all the talking. They bought some stuff, but it was just funny to me how I helped him out, and he totally lightened up, and he would look at me when he talked to me, and he was softer with me. And but I was kind of fumbling on myself and stuff, and I found that interesting, because I'm rarely attracted to men. They have to have something about them, their personality, something with their looks and their personality sometimes can get me like that. So anyway, I just thought that was an amusing story. But yeah, it's just rough to deal with this up and down thing. So all I can do is keep going to my therapy sessions, which I have for months, and I just try to work through it a little at a time. What's disturbing, though, because this happens too, I dissociate. And I'm sure many others that go through this, or go through gender dysphoria, depression, if you go through mental illness, bipolar or personality disorders, any of that, it's likely you've dissociated. And I still find myself doing this, and that bothers me, just because it's not a moral thing either. It's like I'll go into corn, watching that. I try to stick on mild stuff when I do it, like just soft stuff, but usually I can't just stick there, and ends up escalating. As if I continue to do it for a few days or whatever, it'll escalate to the harder stuff. And I mean, I know I work in an adult store, so I am around it too, but I don't think that has as much to do with why I dissociate to it. It was something I used to really, I think, kind of have an addiction to a long time ago. But now I do still dissociate to it because it'll make me not think about the dysphoria so much. And then I can fantasize, and I'll fantasize about situations with women. But now, honestly, I do fantasize too about some situations with men, even though I've never been with a man, but over the years, off and on, I've had thoughts, and I do have my thoughts. But the interesting thing with men is the thoughts I have of women, I have as a male, or if I was a trans female. With men, I really have, if I was to say be with one, or the fantasies I have with being one, is if they were attracted to me as a trans female. It's the thoughts that go through my head. And when I'm dissociating, if I dissociate about men, it's as if they liked me as a female and were attracted to me. So I find that interesting too. It's not from a gay male perspective when it comes to men for me. So that's a difference. But I get into the corn, and the reason I say I don't like doing that is because I'm not doing anything else to move forward in other areas. Like could be journaling, or I could even watch a movie, or I could do something else. We only have so much energy in a day, so I'm eating up my energy doing that. And what's interesting is I don't lose my actual seed. I don't lose that. I haven't lost that in like over 7 months, but I have internal orgasms. And I've talked about this before. It's something that I guess I can get into this. I mean, this may be a lengthy video, but many of my videos are. But I had talked, I'll tell you how, I'll go back through this again because this is a really interesting thing, because I had never met anybody before that had the experiences I've had with having these having these internal orgasms. And I finally talked to somebody. Sometimes I talk to Trans Lifeline, and I'll do that in between therapy sessions. Sometimes if I'm having a hard time, I've done that from time to time. And there's a certain person I talked to there. Hold on. Turn off my air heater. But anyway, I talked to them recently again. Well, I say recently, it's probably 2 or 3 weeks ago, but there's a certain, I thought they were trans female, but they're more, last time they had told me, I got the same person twice. We've had really good conversations. She's well, I shouldn't say she, they go by they, non-binary, but more femme. And we relate a lot on a lot of stuff because of the gender dysphoria and what they went through and what I'm going through. And I felt finally comfortable. My psychologist knows this, but she's had paranormal experiences, but she can only relate so much to this, to what I told her. But the non-binary person at Trans Lifeline knew trans females that had the same experiences as me. And some people call this, we're going to dip a little bit here. I don't believe in any religion. Haven't for some time now. I don't subscribe to any of it. But when I was in New Age spirituality, there was this thing in Hinduism called Kundalini. And this is what you could relate this to. It's where what they say, this is the idea behind it. I don't think this is exactly what it is. You can say this is all metaphoric, but the idea is a snake coils itself up your spine, and that's what it rises up and causes that internal feeling. And I don't think it's really that, but I do think it's something of some kind of paranormal spiritual nature that we don't completely understand that happens to some of us. not many males know. I've never met another male that would even have a clue about such a thing or know. I mean, I've heard of men that practiced spiritual practice, that learned how to do it through spiritual practice. I think like kind of like tantric or something like that. But this happened to me through a way I can't understand. It happened to me in a spiritual, like paranormal way. Like I felt like something was actually having intimacy with me, doing things to me, and I was in, of course, the feminine, and it was like felt like a male type energy, and it would make these things happen to me. And I've been able to do it ever since. It's like it taught it to me, and you do think you're going crazy, but then the person at Trans Lifeline had met other trans females in her, or I should say their life, that they had this happen mysteriously to them too, where they could internally orgasm and not release, and they could just produce that over and over. And I can do that. I can make myself. It's an incredible thing. I will say that it's, you want to keep doing it and doing it, but it makes you continue to dissociate. So it can be addictive like anything else. So that's the thing. It's not about a moral judgment. Oh, it's bad. Oh, it's sinful. I don't believe in any of that. It's just anything can be overdone, or anything can take us off track from other things that would be more productive for us. So I don't like falling into that. So that's been happening. And then I've talked about I'll eat chocolate ice cream like it's it's just, I eat crazy amounts of chocolate ice cream, and you'd think I'd be, I guess, huge, but I'm not. I would like to be smaller, though. I mean, I'd like to be about 15 pounds smaller. See, and there you go. There's the dysphoria. So even though I'm having a milder case of it right now, I still want to be tiny. You know, I could be a tiny man, though. I've done that before, actually. Before all this dysphoria really hit, I used to just stay ripped and little. I did that for a long time because it was easier. I bodybuilt years ago, and I got big. At 5'6", I got up to 190 pounds. But what I used to do before all this dysphoria hit, I would just stay ripped. I would, not all the time, but most of the time I try to keep very lean and small. So I still have that in me where I want to be tiny, not necessarily ripped, because I've been liking the soft feminine look to me in the mirror, as I was talking about, that I'm seeing. And then that does get me thinking about hormones of what it would accentuate for me. That still excites me. So even with milder dysphoria, that's still there. But this kundalini, that's what I'm referring it. I don't really look at it in a religious aspect, but can't tell you how it really happened. Can't tell you what that was that messed with me. And that happened for a long time, where this thing would come in and out and do things with me like that. It's like a companion. It's the best way I can describe it. And only people that have ever had it happen would know. I just haven't personally met another person that said, oh yeah, it happened to me. But it was still exciting to talk to somebody that had met people that said, oh yeah, that happened to me, and they were trans females. So I find that very interesting as to why, and maybe it's because we do feel feminine and we want to explore that internal type of feeling, bodily feeling. Because we were joking when I was on the phone with them that I don't think most men would know how to even begin to do that. And they said, well, why would they want to? They probably wouldn't want to. I keep saying she, but they, because they are more feminine. But why would they want? They were saying, well, why would the man want to do that? Because they're trying to live up to. Most men are trying to live up to a level of masculinity. So why would they even begin to do that? Because they don't want to feel. I don't want to feel feminine. I do. I enjoy doing that. So anyway, that's something else that I go through. And I've discussed it before, but not in a while. There's another video on here where I talked about it more. I think there's a video I talk about a lot of paranormal things I have been through. But I just wanted to bring it up again for anyone that hasn't seen me before. Maybe you haven't watched back on some of my videos. Anyway, the dissociation. So I could be doing it, I know, with drugs. I could be doing it with opioids. I could be doing it with, I've never been on hard drugs or opioids, but I had over-the-counter drug addiction with, I'd say, very hardcore type stuff, stimulant stuff you could get GNC when I bodybuilt. Stuff definitely is addictive, can be addictive. And I've had, throughout my life at different points, alcoholic binges, where I'm the type that I've never been a continuous alcoholic. I do it for periods of time and quit. And that's something I've managed to stay away from because I know it just depresses me. I'm like, well, what's it going to accomplish? And I'm not saying one or two, so it's okay. But usually when I have one or two, I want three or four. So I've managed to stay away from that. And drugs aren't a good thing for me anyway. I mean, a Benadryl will make me loopy. I mean, honestly, it's always been like that for me. I can take a Benadryl and I can be like, that'll take my mind off stuff. And sometimes I have done that. But I don't like to do that very often either, because then next thing you know, your body just adapts to everything. And then you got to take more of something or do more of something. But still, even though the corn isn't just something people would say, well, that's not extremely bad, I just feel like it keeps me in a stuck energy. And keeps me, I think, it'll depress me sometimes because I'm not able to think clearly. It fogs up my brain. That happens. The chocolate ice cream, that's probably the lesser, actually, of the two things, I think. Though if I want to lose more weight and be smaller, I probably should tighten up my eating again. But I really don't. I'm actually in pretty good shape, even though I will say before all this dysphoria really heightened and my depression really heightened, I was in better shape. But I did go to the park for like the first time in a long time. I went to the local park maybe not even a week ago, and I could still run uphill. I used to be able to sprint uphill, and there's a big hill out there a steep hill that I could run. It's pretty long. I mean, if I was to guess, it might be longer than a football field going uphill if I just take a guess at it. And there's other hills up there I'd sprint up. I couldn't run up this whole thing this time, but I could still jog most of it. And I could still sprint flatland pretty good. At almost 50, I feel good about that, even though I haven't let myself just go. My blood pressure is perfect. Last time I checked it, it was like I think it was like 117 over 75. And when I'm in really good shape, it's even lower than that. I don't have anything I take for anything. And I guess that's why I fight with the hormones too, because, I know it's something I don't have to always take to be a trans female if I want to look a certain way. Once you start on that track, you want to stay on it, because if you stop taking them, things are going to reverse on you. So I fight with that too. I'm the type of person who never liked medicines. I never liked to have to take them unless I had to take them. And well, if I go down that road, it's something you gotta stay on. But ultimately, I'm gonna have to decide whether that's just when the opportunity arises, if I can have them. And I'm sure there'll be an opportunity. I do believe that, but I'll have to weigh the pros and cons of whether I'm happier to know that what they give me, what the hormones will give me, it's one of those things of saying, well, will I be happier with what the hormones give me? Um, so all I can say, if you're going through anything like this in the up and down spiral of dysphoria, if you go through an up and down with it, which a lot of people do, is you just got to take it a day at a time. And if you do dissociate with something, hopefully it's not drugs or hard drugs or alcohol or something like that. Hopefully it is something more mild, like what I dissociate with. And, you can, it's not so bad, and you just can't beat yourself up over it. So anyway, that's a lot lately of what I've been dealing with, and I will see my psychologist here again in like a couple of days. I'm just taking it day to day. There's a good show on that I'm just thinking, this is random. If you have Amazon Prime right now, and I'm thinking of this because I guess with gender dysphoria too, I often think of reincarnation. I think of past lives. I believe in past lives. I believe I've been a woman in my recent past life, and at least another one that I feel like I remembered when I used to do a lot of extensive meditation. And I think that's a lot of my personal opinion. It's just my personal opinion. I mean, you can't prove this stuff, but my personal opinion is that it also affects a lot of us that go through this why we end up with gender dysphoria, whether it's early in life or later in life or whatever, is that maybe somehow the remembrance of what our soul has remembered is brought up from the past lives. I think it's a factor. I don't think it's the whole thing. But anyway, I'm thinking of the TV show Wheel of Time. And Wheel of Time, I like some fantasy TV shows. I don't like all of them. But Wheel of Time deals with reincarnation, and that's why it's called that. And it's set in I'd say it's set in like a medieval time in a different world than ours, but there's magic and different things. But what's interesting about the show too is women are more in power in this show. It's based on a book series I had never heard of, but the women they have this power. You could kind of compare it to the Force in Star Wars. But what happens is when men get a hold of this power, they can channel. It's like a channeling type of power. When men get this power, they tend to not be able to control it as well. And they usually go mad. Where the women have the ability to harness it more pure and control it more often than the men are able to do. There's a lot to the show, though. It's very deep. But that is a fantasy show I like. And I guess, I'm touching on fantasy shows. I also like, this is totally different. On Netflix, I like Stranger Things, so I'm waiting for that new season to come out. It's been forever. And I think I like Stranger Things so much because I love the sci-fi elements of it, the horror elements of it, but just also because I was a kid in the 80s, and it shows so much accuracy to what that time was like. They really did a great job in that show of recreating that nostalgia of how that time felt and looked like. So that's another fantasy one. Another one on Amazon that's popular, I just don't care for it, is Lord of the Rings. I'm just not I watched the movies, I just couldn't get into them. Don't know why, just wasn't my cup of tea. But there's a show on there, Lord of the Rings. There was another one that was good, but it only went 3 seasons, and that was Carnival Row. Had Orlando Bloom in it. I will say though, if you haven't seen Carnival Row, it's on Amazon Prime. 3 seasons. I would have liked it to have went longer, but it ended everything with the 3 seasons in a satisfying way. So if you like fantasy shows, I would recommend that one. But other than that, I'm talking about TV. In music, the new Ghost album. I've talked about Ghost briefly before. I really love Ghost, but I also like dark and occult stuff too. I'm really drawn to that. But now I will say this new Ghost album is very 80s, so it's not going to be everyone's cup of tea. It's not going to be everyone's thing. Uh, but I like so much different music, and what I love about Ghost is how they can the multi-genre aspect of them. If you go back and listen to their older stuff, which is cool too, it's heavier, it's more occult, but they can also do mainstream rock. And this new album, it definitely has an 80s flair. But if you're into Ghost, my favorite songs off of there would be Lacrima. The video for Lacrima is also amazing. I like how Tobias is his new character is wearing a mask where he can move his mouth too. His singing, I think he's a great singer. Some of the trickery he does with his voice I feel like it's pretty impressive. But Lacrima, I would say it's a close second for me with Satanized, and I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing this right. I think it's Massilia Amori, which is Love Rockets. Love Rockets is very unique. You just need to listen to it. So Satanized and that song, I believe I would kind of tie. And then I really like Umbra. Umbra has a great keyboard and guitar solo in it. It's pretty cool. And then The Mark of the Evil Ones. So these are the ones I'm thinking of right now. There might be one I'm missing in there. Peacefield. The video for Peacefield is really cool. And that song sometimes, and I've heard other people say this about Ghost, sometimes you got to listen to their songs a couple of times or a few times, and you might hear something at first, and then you hear it again, and you're like, oh, and that's how Peacefield kind of hit me, plus the video with it. And does it sound like Journey? Yes. There's a part in it, definitely. Has I don't know which song it is, but there's a couple of songs on there. He's definitely, there's some Journey influence for sure, but still what they do lyrically with a song, the themes lyrically mixed with that 80s type style, and the way their whole stage, the way they dress on stage, the mystery, the occultism, all of it is just really fascinating. And I love haunted type stuff as well. So yeah, it just fits right in there with a lot of stuff I like. And if I could see a live show of them, yeah, I'm sure I would go do it. But anyway, I guess I'm gonna go for now, guys. And thanks for being here. Thanks for watching. Bye.